Has anyone else ever woken up super early in the morning, like when a streaming service drops a new season of a TV show or a movie so you can watch it when it first comes out? Because that may have been exactly what I did for Wednesday Season 2 Part 2. What's up guys, my name is Ryan, welcome to my channel if you are new here. So the full season of Wednesday Season 2 is finally out on Netflix and I've watched the whole thing, so now it's time to give my review. The first part will be non-spoiler talk and then the second part will be spoiler talk because there are some spoiler things I want to talk about that help explain why I did like this season, but hope you all enjoy this review and let's jump in. First thing I want to say is that it's so nice to have this show back and have the cast back, especially Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams. I've said it before, I will say it again, one of the greatest castings ever. But it's also nice to see Emma Myers back as Enid, Joy Sunday as Bianca Barclay, Hunter Doohan as Tyler Galpin. I don't remember the actors' names, but it's nice to see Eugene and Ajax back as well as some other characters. This season is just filled to the brim with great characters, both old and new, and some characters who were only guest stars in last season got promoted to series regulars this season, most notably the Addams family. Morticia, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, Gomez, played by Luis Guzman, and then I don't remember the actor's name, but Pugsley, Wednesday's brother. He is now a student at Nevermore. The family is here this semester at Nevermore, and because of that, we get to explore more of Wednesday's relationship with her family, especially her somewhat estranged relationship with her mother Morticia, which I enjoyed. We also get some great guest stars this season, of course, to get Uncle Fester back this season. We also get to see Grandmama Frump, Morticia's mother, this season. We really get to dive into and explore the Addams family, like the extended Addams family, a lot more this season, which I really enjoyed. And there's plenty of other guest stars throughout this season, but I won't talk about that until we get to the spoiler talk. And then we also have some new characters this season, like Steve Buscemi as our new Nevermore principal, Barry Dort. Evie Templeton plays a character by the name of Agnes DeMille, who actually ended up being a really good character come the end of the season that I'm excited to see again, hopefully next season. We get Christopher Lloyd playing Professor Orloff, as well as Billie Piper playing Isadora Capri, the music teacher at Nevermore, which leads to we get some nice musical moments with her in this season. It's just so great to have the show and this cast back. I really hope they don't make us wait 3 years for the next season like they did with this one, because that is absolute ridiculousness. However, when it comes to the story for Wednesday Season 2, I unfortunately was a little disappointed, especially in the first part of the season. Overall, I liked Season 2, but not as much as Season 1. I thought this season was a good season, but not a great season. And the main reason why I think that is, I think that maybe there was just a bit too much going on. They set up a lot in this season, and there's a lot going on in this season, and there's a bunch of, kind of subplots, which all actually end up coming together and intertwining pretty nicely come the end of this season. Going into the season, there was already some questions we had, and they do set up and do a lot in the first part of this season, and they actually did so much and reveal a lot and answer a lot of our big questions going into this season in that first part that come the end of part 1, I was like, what are they going to do in part 2? Because a lot of our big questions heading into this season are answered by the end of episode 4. And they do set up some stuff for part 2, but when part 1 ended, I felt like they maybe let a lot of air out of the balloon already, and a lot of the weight and intrigue in the season was already taken away because they already revealed a heck of a lot come the end of part 1. Like I said, some of our biggest questions heading into this season are answered by the end of part 1, and that includes the main mystery of this season. And speaking of the main mystery, I just didn't feel like it was as interesting as Season 1's was. Season 1 kind of had, I think, a bit of a simpler, more easy to follow story. Season 2, there's a lot going on, and the main mystery of the season, the answer is kind of revealed halfway through the season, whereas Season 1, they did a great job of building intrigue. They did a really good job of building up to this climax reveal at the end of the season, but this season, they didn't do that, and I was like, okay, what are they gonna do in part 2? Because they've already done and revealed a lot, and I must say, Part 2 picked up a lot more for me. I enjoyed Part 2 much more than Part 1, and they actually surprisingly had a lot to do in Part 2. We get some other things set up, and they are really well developed, and they actually end up doing a lot more than I thought they could with Part 2. Part 1, I also felt like I enjoyed Part 1, but come the end of it, I would say it's probably just I felt the season so far was just decent because I just wasn't really intrigued and nothing was really popping or standing out. I can't recall a really standout sequence or moment in part 1, but part 2 ended up having some really good standout sequences, and it was actually much more emotionally powerful. Part 1 I just felt like was missing something, and part 2 felt a bit more full and like it had a bit more impact. But come the end of the season, I felt like all the storylines and all the subplots they had going on, like I said, they tie together very nicely. And season 2 actually has a pretty decent ending, but I felt like some plots were kind of like put on the back burner and they weren't as focused and they weren't given as much impact. I felt like every plot of the season didn't have as much of an impactful, satisfying conclusion come the end of the season. Some definitely did. And of course you do have those more main focused plots and the subplots, you know, you don't really focus on, but even those subplots still have like an impactful conclusion. But that's not really the case here. I feel like they kind of glossed over some plots and they kind of cheated to get to the ending, and it didn't have as much punch come the end of the season. I thought it was interesting the way they decided to release this season. As we know, part 1 was released in August and part 2 was released this month in September, and it feels a bit weird, and I don't know if they did this because of this reason, because I just felt like part 2 was just so much stronger than the first half of the season. Like I said, like much more popped and there was much more emotional impact in part 2. And part 1, I felt like it was enjoyable, definitely, but it just didn't have as much impact. Like I said, a lot of the intrigue and just what made the show pop just wasn't really there. And also, like, in every other episode, I felt like I was going, okay, what's the main plot? Like, who's our main villain? What's the threat we're trying to stop this season? It felt like we kind of had a different villain, and they were setting up a different villainous storyline in, like, every other episode, and I really wasn't sure who the main villain was until part 2. I felt like part 2 was much more focused, and we knew where we were going, where we were heading, and part 1, like, they kind of kept you guessing, which in a way was a good thing, but I felt like season 1 was much more straightforward and simpler and easy to follow. We knew what the main storyline, what the main mystery and plot was this season, but this season, I was kind of guessing. I wasn't sure really what was the main plot of the season until part 2, and I was like, oh, I know where we're going. Okay, I guess this person is our main villain. I just felt like maybe this season could have had a bit more simpler, more focused storyline, and I just felt maybe it would have been better if maybe they didn't have so much going on in the season. I felt like they were trying to make this season bigger and better by adding all this stuff into it, and bigger isn't always necessarily better. But like I said, overall, still an enjoyable season. I thought it was good, but I much prefer season 1. A couple more things before we dive into some spoiler talk is there are some instances of plot convenience throughout the season where characters make decisions because it feels like the plot just demands it, and they're not making these decisions because they would naturally make these decisions. I feel like some characters were smarter than the decisions they ended up making. And also, this is a criticism I have with a lot of Addams Family content. I enjoy overall the more macabre, morbid sense of humor of the Addams Family, but sometimes I feel like it can go a bit too far, and this season I felt, as opposed to season 1, they cranked up the morbid and macabre sense of humor a bit, maybe too much at some points. And there's some jokes in here that I'm like, ooh, okay, I think that was maybe a bit too far. And the season does have a bit of a darker tone, and the humor kind of fits that. But like I said, sometimes it just goes a bit too far for me. Like, certain things happen, and certain things are played for jokes, and I'm like, I'm not sure we should be laughing about that. There are also some really good twists and turns this season, and reveals like there was last season, and maybe even a bit more. I felt like there were a lot of reveals this season, but like with season 1, I felt like some were a bit obvious and I kind of saw it coming, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, I'd rather have something be obvious and really well done rather than them trying to subvert expectations and do something that doesn't make any sense to try and keep it from being obvious. But now let's jump into some spoiler talk on Wednesday Season 2. I love getting to continue to explore and develop and kind of dive into Wednesday's character this season. You know, she's kind of this stern, stoic, prideful, a bit arrogant character. She kind of looks down on those around her, and I think this season, especially in part 2, we really get to see a little bit of a humbling in Wednesday. For example, Wednesday gets a new spirit guide this season in Principal Weems. She returns, Gwendolyn Christie returns as Wednesday's new spirit guide this season, and I love when part 2 opens and she finds out when Wednesday's in a coma and she's talking to Weems inside her head. I just love the chemistry between those two characters, and I love when Weems tells Wednesday, "Your hubris has yet again made you the architect of your own demise." Wednesday is a very smart, very skilled character, but like I said, she is a bit prideful and arrogant. She kind of looks down on those around her. She thinks she maybe is a bit superior to others, and she can handle things on her own. She doesn't need anybody. And I love that scene. I don't remember which episode it was in, but when Enid is talking to her and tells her, you might think you're the only capable one here, but you can't do everything on your own. That's not how the world works, even for Wednesday Addams. Wednesday thinks she can do a heck of a lot on her own, and she doesn't really need anybody. I love getting to explore and dive into that issue she struggles with. I love how Wednesday kind of gets a humbling this season, like I said, and she learns that she can't always do it alone. She has to let other people in and let other people help her. And I have to say, I loved episode 6 of this season, where Wednesday and Enid kind of switch bodies, and Jenna Ortega and Emma Myers did such a phenomenal job in that episode. Emma Myers kind of giving a Wednesday impression and Jenna Ortega giving an Enid impression, and I love that scene where Enid in Wednesday's body puts on this colorful outfit and goes out dancing in front of the whole school. And, you know, Wednesday's character has this stern, stoic, deadpan face look, and once Enid and Wednesday switch bodies, you just see like some life in Jenna Ortega's face, and you see her emoting and being more expressive with her face and her actions, and it's just, that was hilarious and so well done. I love stuff like that where characters get to kind of switch bodies and get to see how the other half lives and what it's like to be another person, and they come to understand each other a lot better, and it led to some really emotional moments between Wednesday and Enid, and it grows their friendship this season, which I loved. And also led to some hilarious moments, like I said, Enid in Wednesday's body putting on this colorful outfit and dancing in front of the whole school and being like, hi, how are you, and all that, and offering people compliments. And I love this when she puts on that colorful outfit, she starts breaking out in hives, and she's like, Wednesday's actually allergic to color. That was just a phenomenal joke, I thought. I love how Wednesday and Enid really grow this season, how they are best friends, but they're kind of polar opposites, but there are things that they admire about each other. I just really, really loved episode 6 of this season. And you know, one of the main plots of this season is Enid's gonna die. Wednesday has to prevent it. That's kind of why she's pushing Enid away, but she has to learn to be honest with people and to let other people in and not be so prideful and that she can't do it on her own. Otherwise, it will lead to her own demise. Proverbs 16:18 says, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Wednesday this season's kind of struggling with her psychic ability, and Weems tells her that in order to get it back, like, she kind of loses it this season. In order to get it back, she has to, you know, fix her relationship with her mother, be honest with people, let other people in, and acknowledge that she needs other people. No one can get through life alone. We need other people. That's why God created, you know, Eve for Adam, because he said it's not good for man to be alone. God knows that we need each other. We need friends, and that we can't always do things on our own. I just love diving into that this season and that kind of idea and that theme. I also love when Weems tells Wednesday, your lack of empathy is what makes you the weak link. There's a scene where Principal Weems is talking to Wednesday about how the Addams family's bond makes them very strong, and Wednesday kind of has this, you know, lack of emotion and care for her family, or at least pretends that's the case. And she's essentially telling Wednesday that because of that, she is the weak link. Even though she thinks she's strong, she is the weak link, and she needs to develop a better relationship with her family if she wants to get her power back. I love stories like this about prideful people being humbled and coming to see that, you know, they aren't all that, and they need help, and they aren't perfect. And of course, Wednesday, come the end of the season, she's still Wednesday Addams. I don't think she's completely learned her lesson yet, but I do think that as this show goes on, Wednesday will continue to be humbled and learn and become more empathetic. I just love seeing the growth of her character throughout the show so far, and I'm excited to see where that goes in season 3. A couple more things before I wrap up this review is, one, we get another standout dance sequence this season, like the Wednesday Goo Goo Muck dance last season with Enid and Agnes, and I actually like what they do with Agnes's character and how she kind of really admires Wednesday going into this season, is trying to do everything to be like her and please her, and she just desires kind of love and community and to be accepted. And come to the end of the season, she realizes that, no matter how hard she tries, Wednesday will never approve of her trying to be like her. And she has her hair in these braids similar to Wednesday's throughout the season, but come the end of the season, she realizes she needs to stop trying to be like Wednesday and just be herself. And I love that message and how she learns that this season. And when we see her with her naturally red curly hair, and then Wednesday says, finally, some originality. And she's like, I'm done trying to be like you and to please you. I don't care what you think of me anymore. And Wednesday's like, good. And the three of them kind of become, as she says, these kind of three musketeers, and they start to develop this friendship between the three of them. And I love how in the beginning of the season, Enid and Agnes kind of like don't like each other, but come the end of the season, they become really good friends, and they have this standout dance sequence where they dance to Lady Gaga's song, The Dead Dance. And we also get to see Lady Gaga this season as the character of Rosaline Rockwood, the spirit that Wednesday communicates with in one episode. And then last thing, the setup for next season. I have to say that I am interested, but I can't say that I'm as intrigued heading into season 3 as I was coming out of season 1 into season 2. Like I said earlier, I think this season, like, the main plot and mystery wasn't as interesting, and they didn't do as good of a job building intrigue this season, but I still am interested and looking forward to season 3, especially with the Aunt Ophelia stuff that they tease in this season, how we see her at the end of the season writing Wednesday Must Die on that wall, and she's kind of like beneath her mother's house in like this confined room. I also did enjoy finding out that Enid was an alpha werewolf and her transforming and not being sure if she can ever return to human form, and Wednesday leaving this season to go and find her. And I'm interested in seeing what they do with Nevermore this season, whether that will be a thing, because Principal Barry Dort ends up being a bad person and he gets exposed, and so the school shuts down at the end of the season, and I don't think they give any hints that it's going to reopen or anything. So I'm not sure if we'll be at Nevermore next season. I kind of hope so, because I do want to see some of the characters, and I think if we don't go to Nevermore, we might not see them, but I don't know. I was kind of hoping that they would kind of make Morticia the principal of Nevermore by the end of the season. I don't know if anyone felt like the same way, that they were kind of building up to that. Like, ever since, like, Weems died at the end of season 1, I felt like, you know who'd be a great replacement principal? Morticia. Like, has anyone else felt like that's a great decision for them to make and they've like been building towards that? Or is it just me? But overall, Wednesday season 2, a bit disappointing, but still really good, enjoyable season. I'm still interested in season 3 and seeing what they do. But thank y'all for watching this review. Give it a like if you enjoyed, and let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Wednesday season 2. I would love to have a discussion with y'all about this new season of Wednesday, and if you enjoy my content, click right over here to subscribe, and if you want to watch my Wednesday season 1 review, you can watch that right over here. And then right here is a playlist of all the movies that have come out this year that me and my friends have reviewed if you want to watch some of my movie reviews. And with that, hope y'all have a blessed one, guys. I'll see you on the next video.